first Inside Out is one of the most emotionally impactful Pixar films. Sure, it isn't subtle in its exploration of its themes, but by personifying each emotion as its own character, director Pete Docter was able to deliver a powerful message about how each emotional facet, even the ones we deem unhelpful, work in tandem with each other to create the three-dimensional human beings that we are. That said, I was tapped out of the hype train for Inside Out 2. Pixar has been hit or miss in the past few years in that you'll either end up with a turning red win or a Lightyear cash grab. And if The Incredibles 2 was anything to go by, I would be setting myself up for disappointment if I expected anything more than a pale imitation of the original film. One that, instead of reinvigorating my love for the original, would leave me mourning the superior sequel we didn't get. I became a little bit hyped when I heard some of the names they were recruiting to join the voice cast, names like Maya Hawke and Iowa Debris. Now having seen the movie, I can confidently say my first instinct was wrong, because this movie is great. Inside Out 2 picks up a few years after the first film, which released in 2015. Riley has now grown into her teenage years, and it's business as usual for the pre-existing emotions. Joy, sadness, fear, anger, and disgust. But when you turn 13, new emotions come flooding in the form of anxiety, envy, embarrassment, and ennui, which is a more French way of saying boredom. If you expect all these new emotions to get along, think again, because anxiety has plans of her own, and those plans include booting all the cute little preteen emotions out of her system, leaving them forsaken and in search of a way back. My fundamental issue with The Incredibles 2, something that bugged me even before I watched the film, was the decision to have the movie pick up literally moments after the original. By beginning this film with Riley having just turned 13, the filmmakers allow us to grow with the character and afford us the exciting opportunity to explore Riley in a different part of her life, as opposed to just treading water. I'm looking at you, Brad Bird. Even as someone who's grown out of their teenage years, one of the defining aspects of the teen experience is how amplified all emotions become, whether positive or negative, and this movie portrays this development in an interesting way. With the introduction of embarrassment, director Kelsey Mann suggests that this emotion becomes far more pronounced in teen years. My experience of mistaking a stranger for my father when I was 6 would say otherwise, but anxiety is undoubtedly an emotion that comes into its own in the teenage years, and we've got a hell of a voice for anxiety in Maya Hawke, who imbues the character with her usual sense of frenetic, uncoordinated energy. The character is essentially the antagonistic force of the film, and she makes a great foil for Joy, allowing her to apply all the lessons and growth she learned from the first film. Anxiety is the thematic anchor of the film, commenting on our ongoing desire as humans to micromanage our own lives in hopes that we will be able to guarantee perfect outcomes for ourselves in the future. Adele Exarchopoulos and Paul Walter Hauser each do an incredible job as ennui and embarrassment respectively, folding into the world incredibly well, as if they were always there. Though this doesn't feature the most creative or even photorealistic animation of any Pixar film, this might be the strongest example of how animation can be used to imbue characters with the same depth of personality that you would get out of a live-action performance. Because while the voice actors do a phenomenal job, the animation is equally important in highlighting the distinct personalities of each emotion, such as embarrassment's quirk of zipping up his own hoodie to bury himself inside it. Spider-Verse seems to have kicked off this trend of combining different animation styles with each other, and while it would be sacrilegious to say anything here comes close, I still appreciated Pixar experimenting a bit with different animation styles occupying the same frame. I only wish they would have done it even more prominently. While Riley's storyline in the first movie can best be described as segments, here it feels less like you're getting bursts of that world and more like it's a full-fledged, fleshed out storyline balanced equally with the inside part of her brain where we follow the emotion. Your mileage may vary depending on how much you enjoyed the Riley parts of the first movie, but personally I thought it was an improvement on the last film. It is quite hard for an animated film to genuinely make me laugh because the jokes are geared toward a younger audience, but there are a handful of moments in this film that transcended any age barriers and worked well as universally funny jokes. The comedy is also super well balanced with the drama. Whenever the movie is getting a little too sentimental for a family movie, they lighten up the tension with a joke, and whenever you're having too much fun, they ground us in the themes of the movie with a profound moment of emotion and character development. Reminding you that beyond just being a kid's movie, this is a film that contains universal themes that can be useful regardless of age. It's a movie that has so much going for it that it could have been just as good as the first movie, even if it falls just a little bit short. So when I went into this movie, I told my brother I was sure Io Debris' Envy was gonna steal the movie. Not only because she has experience in voice acting, having starred in both Spider-Verse and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but because the marketing clips of her in the booth for this movie were just gold.
Oh, look at your hair.
I left thinking that the character of Envy is the worst character of all the emotions. The Inside Out movies work because they take an emotion, personify it, and take it to the most extreme level. Each character is a maximal embodiment of their emotion, which allows them to contrast each other super well. That just isn't the case for Envy. As I was watching the movie, I asked myself this: if this movie was made without a single use of the word envy and the character was simply referred to by a regular name like Catherine, would I be able to tell which emotion she's meant to embody? And the answer is no. For a sequel to improve on an already great film, there needs to inherently be a lot to improve on, or the sequel needs to reinvent the wheel and deliver something drastically different from the first film. Like Batman Begins being a conventional origin story and The Dark Knight transitioning into a hate-style crime thriller. Inside Out 2 stays pretty true to the formula and essence of the original film without delivering on the emotional impact of the first, which leaves it in a spot where most sequels would kill to be. A great sequel that adds to the themes of the original film, even if it doesn't manage to surpass it. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and hit the subscribe button for weekly movie and TV reviews. And be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And if you've watched Inside Out 2, let us know what you thought about it in the comments below. I'm Cinemike, and I'll see you next time.